hear me now?
Yes, I got it. It's a pleasure to have you, sir. My name is Stephen Wise Boniface. As you know, I am. We have been friends on Facebook, and I think once we have communicated, or twice. I'm a certified life coach. I specialize on happiness, um, personal leadership, and anger management. So, and by the grace of God, I have authored about 4 books in Amazon. This live often, maybe once in a week or twice in 2 weeks, to educate my followers on Facebook. And also, it is one of our causes in my foundation, Stepwise Happiness Foundation, where we teach people for free how to better their life and become somebody in future. So here with me this evening or this afternoon or this morning, depending on your location where you are watching us live from, here is with me. His name is Atin Cassiotis, the business growth expert, investor, international speaker. He is a coach, a mentor, a consultant, and a podcast host. He helps business owners to grow and scale their business to a great height and to create wealth and freedom in their life. Atin holds the Business Growth Show, where he interviewed successful entrepreneurs and celebrities, including Jay Abraham, Bruce Buffer, Gillian Michael, Nick Bell, and George Curtis. He has spoken on stage in front of 1,000 people and 2,000 people in Los Angeles. My dear friends, family, and viewers, wherever you are watching me, here is a great man who will be taking us on financial intelligence. So may I bring on stage Mr. Atin to come and handle the stage, give us everything about financial intelligence. Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Stephen. Thanks for the lovely introduction and great to be here with your audience. And yeah, such an important topic, financial intelligence. And it's really important that let me go back, right? Because what happens in the standard schooling system, we're not really taught how financial intelligence, right? They teach us maybe a little bit about money, but they don't really teach us because I think the system is built for people more just to get jobs and just to get on by, but not really, grow wealth, right? And to be able to get that freedom that we want in our lives. And there's a lot of different ways that we can do that. So just realize the system is not geared for this. We have to go out and get knowledge on this in different ways. So there's a lot of different ways. And first, depending on where you're at, like I work with people, from an early stage all the way up to business owners that are making tens of millions of dollars, right? And very successful. So I'll start very basic and then I'll get more complex over time, right? And it's important to understand there's in business, and I'm going to refer to business, but it's actually referable to life because a lot of people don't think about this in life, but it's transferable. So in business, there's a few financial statements which are important. Number one is the profit and loss, right, statement. The next one is the balance sheet, and then the next one is the cash flow statement. So the profit and loss is basically your income, right? Everyone can understand income, whether that's business income or personal income, minus your expenses, right? Whatever expenses you have in your business or in your life. And then the rest is your net profit. What is your profit, right? Left over. In your business, that's profit. In your life, that you would be your savings, right? That you would go there, then you decide, what you want to do with that later. So that's, it's a very simple sense. So understanding that's a profit and loss. Now, the balance sheet is all about assets and liabilities. So an asset is something that is like revenue generating that makes you money, right? Now, cash is an asset as well. So money or money that you're expecting to come in is an asset. But also what people normally know of as simple assets, I'll say, is like property. Property is an asset. As long as it's making money for you, it's not a liability. It's positively cash flowed. It's making money for you. And if we talk about liabilities, then these are things that cost you money. Maybe it's a loan for a car that you have to get. Maybe it's a property that is losing money. You're sort of playing the long game you're losing money on it, but you're hoping that it grows over time, right? But it's still a liability technically at that time. So there's there's even in business there's taxes and things like that, but a lot of the time it's loans and things like that about the liability of what you've got, and things that money you have to pay out, right? That you have to take out. So and then what's left over is your shareholders' equity or your owner's equity, or whatever's left over is your equity, right? Whatever you've got left in there. So and the cash flow statement is just basically saying, well, when is the cash coming in and when is the cash coming out? Because just because you make, I'll use small numbers, $1,000, right, today. Now, until you get money next time, whether that's in a week or in a month, do you have enough money in that $1,000 with your expenses? Or are there going to be ways that, you might have $1,500 worth of expenses and you're like, okay, well, I need to get money from somewhere else to be able to pay that before I get paid next. So understanding how your cash flows in and out is really important. I know you focus more on life, so understanding where that is and understanding like when your bills come out. If we talk about a life perspective now, right? Like what time of the month the bills are coming out? Do you have direct debits? Do you have to make the payments? Are these in your calendar? Are they in a spreadsheet? And knowing when you need to have your money so that you've always got enough to be able to cover that. And then what the surplus, what's left over is then what you can choose to do with that to invest. And to make it simple, there's a really couple of good books right here that I want to share with everyone so you can delve deeper into this yourself. And a really great book here is Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki, right? So really, really powerful book. And I won't get into all of it now, but I recommend getting this. Now, if you're not a person, if you don't like reading books physically, because some people don't, I like audiobooks more, even though I have the physical book, get a subscription to Audible. And I think there's a free trial where they give you 1 credit, right? And if you want to get your first free trial and you want to read one book on financial intelligence, especially if you're in an early stage in life and you want to take it to the next level, is read this book if you haven't already, right? And then the second one that he's done is the cash flow quadrant, right? And he talks a bit about it in Rich Dad Poor Dad, but he goes deeper in this book. And basically, it's a great area to understand this, right? So depending on where you're at, you start at the E as the employee here, right? So you're an employee, you're making money, you're getting a wage, whatever that is. Then maybe you want to be a sole trader, be a contractor, be a someone that provides a service on the side, and you want to be like a sole trader here. That's the S, right? So you're doing something still by yourself, but it's sort of under a businessy or contractor structure or something like that. Very simple. So that's really trading time for money right here. So that's okay, but that's you can only trade so much time for money here. It's your earnings potential are capped, right? Whereas when you go to the B side, that's owning a business. And I help business owners. I've got multiple businesses myself. That's where that you can get other people with you together to make money together. So it's not just based on my time, it's based on the collective time of the people that work with me, either my employees or could be contractors that I get in to do work for me, a lot of different ways, or systems that I build, software, whatever, right? So the business owner, you start to get more leverage to be able to make more money than just a standard wage. And then the next level is the I, which is the investor, right? So and that's where we all want to be really, is where we want to be investing our money into something that's going to give us a return. Because the problem is, especially now in the world, is that there's very high inflation, right? So there's a bit of a recession sort of happening depending on the country you're in, or a depression or coming, and there's a lot of inflation. So they're putting up interest rates, so property prices are changing. It's harder for people to pay money, and with interest rates now they're okay, but really we want to be getting a return. So because if you keep the money in your bank right now, because interest rates are rising, you might get 2 or 3% per year that they'll give you. Before, it was less than 1%, right? Before they were doing this right. So it's probably going to go down. But the problem is that inflation minimum should be about 3% for an economy to grow. So when you understand this, now inflation is like 7 to 10% in a lot of countries. This is massive. What that means is that everything is 7 to 10% more expensive. So if your money is only increasing by 2-3%, but everything's 7 to 10% more expensive, you actually have less money, right, to use. Yes. So you're actually going backwards. So you need to understand, where can I put my money that I'm saving or investing into something else that's going to give me a better return than that, and better return than inflation? How can I get more than 7% or 10%, right? In return. And there's a lot of different ways to understand about assets, and with that, it's about understanding. I love the little kids and stuff in the background. It's always fun. So with about assets, there's a lot of different ways we can invest, but understanding that You know, property is a very simple way that people understand. You buy property, you get rent for it, and that can make you money over time. And normally in Australia anyway, property doubles every 10 years here. So you may lose a bit of money, but there's capital growth over time. So maybe if you can cash flow a bit of a loss, hopefully you can get it positively geared where it's making you money every month. But if it's making a little bit of a loss or break even, the property value goes up over time, and then you can refinance and you can take that money out and then you can use it for something else. So that's a very simple way property to understand, or you can invest in companies, in businesses. You know, that's either private companies, there's a bit more risk in private companies, but more return, or you could invest in shares, which is a public company. You know, let's look at big companies like, you know, SpaceX or Apple, or, you know, all these Facebook, right? You know, or Tesla, all these types of companies that people know. You could invest in that. Now, there is still risk. You don't really control the stock market a lot. So that's a bit of a challenge, a bit of a risk. However, your money is liquid. So understanding that money is about being liquid or illiquid. If you put it in property, it's illiquid. You can't just take the money out when you put it in property. You have to wait, you have to try and refinance, you have to sell, right? If you put money in a private company, you have to normally wait until they want to sell. You can't take the money out. But if you have the money in shares, you can take the money out at any time. You can buy and sell. Same with crypto, right? You know, depending if you want that or not. You know, crypto, it's still very volatile, crypto. So I'm not the biggest advocate unless it's with people that understand crypto very well. But, you know, shares there as well. And obviously seek people out. You know, this is not necessarily financial advice. So I'm just educating you well. Seek people that are going to be able to enhance your financial knowledge on this stuff. But basically, you can do that, or you could put it into something that like bonds or something like that, government bonds, where they pay you, you know, 7% or something over time, where you get a decent return that is locked in by the government, right? And that is normally liquid, where you can take that out at any time that you want. So when you're investing in something, understand, am I going to need this money at all? Because if you're going to need it, you know, make sure you have a float, right? So some people call this a war chest, sometimes it's a treasure chest. Make sure you've got a float for yourself for a certain amount of months. Some people have 3 months, some people have 6 months. What I'm seeing the stats are is a lot of people live paycheck to paycheck, which is a bit crazy, right, in terms of what they're doing. So you've got to make sure you've got a bit of a float there, because what happens if, you know, you don't get paid for something, or you need to fork out some money for something that you didn't expect right there, or what if you want to obviously go on a holiday, you want to do something else, you've got to be able to be saving your money. So there's a lot there that I've just shared, right? But this is like very powerful knowledge to understand this stuff. So I recommend, you know, whoever's listening to this, listen to this again, right? And research more into what I'm telling you right now. And the other element is that, you know, the simple way that you can do this is just create a spreadsheet, right? Everyone has Excel spreadsheets or Google Sheets, whatever that is, and go, how much am I making? Whether it's business income or personal income. Okay, this is the income that I'm making. And then go, okay, what are my expenses? Here are my expenses, and even talk about when's the cash flow, when do these come out, rough, you know, every month or every week, whenever that is, the thing of that. And then you can do a quick little calculations, go, well, how much is that? How much do I have left over? Am I in profit, hopefully? Or am I in the negative, that I'm going backwards? Do I have to cut costs at that point for some reason, that I'm going out for dinners every night or every week and I'm spending ridiculous amounts? Do I have to cut that? Or, you know, are there other things that I'm spending needlessly that, you know, I don't want to save to be able to invest, right? So there's a lot of elements about understanding about finances, because that's where true freedom comes from. We're not going to be able to work for the rest of our lives, right? We're going to get to a point we want to retire. So we want to get to a point where we want money working for us. Yes, the government pays us, you know, an amount once we retire, but that's not really enough to really live on, right? Like, it's enough to live, but it's not really enough to really enjoy your life, right? Once you retire, you want to build businesses, or more so have investments where it's making money for you over time, like, you know, simply properties or these other vehicles that I'm mentioning. So then eventually, as you're getting older, you get to a point where you don't have to work, but you've got more money coming in, and then you can enjoy your life much more and have a better quality of life. So research about profit and loss statements, about balance sheets, about cash flow statements. A lot of this stuff's online. Understand it, even though they're business things, understand it from a personal perspective as well, right? Both elements. You've got to understand this stuff and understand how to budget these things and forecast. Like, what am I, do it all in a spreadsheet, understand, am I in a profit or not, right? What are my assets, my liabilities? What do I want to invest in that's going to make money for me? So I've given you, Stephen, and your audience a lot of information there, but I hope that really showcases understanding how to look at finances. And one thing more I want to share that happens a lot is about mindset. A lot of people that think, and I know you're big on this, right? Being a life coach, is that there can be a lot of limiting beliefs that come up when people think about money and about wealth and finances and things like that. I know with my dad growing up, he said money is the root of all evil to me hundreds of times. So how do you think that affected me, right? When I was trying to start my first business and things weren't happening. Then I read Rich Dad Poor Dad, and I won't go through the whole story, but as Rich Dad said, lack of money is the root of all evil. Because without money, we don't have freedom, we don't have choice, we can't do what we want to do, right? So I had to reframe that belief and keep telling myself and then all of a sudden, I got my first big client, Westfield, and things started changing for me. So what are the limiting beliefs that you have about money? And think about this right now. Is it money is dirty? Money doesn't grow on trees? What I've mentioned already. What is it about money, about wealth, right? About finances? Is something for you saying, I'm not a numbers person? I am all of these great things, right? But what is it for you? But then once you understand the limiting belief around that, or limiting beliefs, multiples, what is the opposite of that? I am great at numbers. I love numbers. I'm great at financials. Lack of money is the root of all evil. Money does grow on trees because, a tree can grow oranges and I can make orange juice out of them, right? Do you know what I mean? Like, think about it like this in a different way. And money is really just energy, right? It's really understanding that money is a resource and it's just an exchange of value. It's like bartering. I'll give you this, you give me that. It's just an exchange of value. So how do we get money? How do we work within that system? Have good money beliefs that we can really do this and be able to take control of our financial freedom and financial intelligence so we can make better money decisions. And in the end, I have a lot of coaches and mentors. So whether it's, Stephen, myself, or other people who you resonate with, that can help you with your money beliefs, but also help you to understand these financial elements about what you're doing so that you can make better decisions. Find advisors and that can help you with these decisions so that you can protect your risk, because there's always some level of risk. What is your risk muscle, your risk appetite to do that? Start low risk initially, and then you can build your risk over time, and then you can get your rewards, and you can build that up over time as well. So there's a nice, powerful section for you and your listeners, Stephen.
Okay, thank you for that wonderful insight when it comes to financial intelligence. But there are these questions on financial intelligence that keep bothering the minds of those who are eager to be financially intelligent. Okay, they are asking this question often on their daily lives. Number one of them is they want to know actually what this financial intelligence is all about. So please, can you give us just a brief, in few lines, what financial intelligence is and why is it important for personal and professional success?
Yeah, so financial intelligence is really understanding numbers and understanding the economy and how everything works together and how you can really make numbers work for you, because everything is just numbers. So understanding how to make numbers work for you, how they work, and then it's important because once you understand finances and how numbers work, like I've said, then you can make better decisions on your finances and go, what can I do with this money that I'm making? How can I make more money out of it? Not just spending money. How can I make more money out of this? That's what financial intelligence allows you to do. So then you can work your way to freedom.
Okay, viewers, he said financial intelligence is all about understanding numbers and the importance of numbers, how it can help you to grow. So that is wonderful one. So number two question is, how can I improve my financial intelligence and learn to use data, technology, and insights to optimize my financial performance and well-being? Now, data, as you said earlier, numbers. Okay. Now, data has come in again. Data, technologies, and insights. So, how can I use them? How can I use them to improve my financial intelligence in order to enhance performance and well-being?
Yeah, I love it. Great question. And I mentioned about the 3 financial reports before. So I recommend everybody at some point should do some sort of business, even if it's just something on the side, right? That you do, even if you're working. And then there's some great accounting platforms, software that will help you do a lot of these reports for you. And the biggest one that's in the world and that I use is Xero, Xero, right? There's a couple of other ones like QuickBooks and MyOb, but Xero is definitely the best one that I see. And you pay a small monthly fee, but what it allows you to do, it connects to your bank account and it sees all the transfers in and out, right? Income, expenses. And then what it will allow you to do is then run the profit and loss, run the balance sheet, run the cash flow statement, and other reports that I just mentioned about what you need to learn. So you don't have to try and calculate them yourself. It's automatically done, right? By connecting your bank account and doing that. So that's a very powerful platform to do there. Now, from a personal perspective, there are platforms as well. If you look online, I think it might be, I don't know if it's Monify, I'm trying to remember now, but that you can plug this into your personal finances as well. So it links into your personal bank accounts, and you can link it into this software. And basically, it tells you where you're spending, because banks now in a lot of countries are categorizing your expenses automatically based on when they come out. It's already in your bank account if you look in your banking app. So these platforms can just tap into that, and you can see graphs and things like that about where your money's going. So these are great platforms to get a good picture of where your money's at. But I think that always the best way to start is do it in Excel or Google Sheets, right? Do it in a spreadsheet, because you can control that and you can understand how to make that. You can do your own formulas, very simple formulas, and you can make decisions. Even like with the Xero, these accounting platforms, what accountants and a lot of people do is they download the report, then they change it, they do things in Excel, right, for it, because Excel is more, you can change it the way you want to, right, and depending on what you want to see in there. So I think get, as a tool, as a skill, get good at using Microsoft Excel, right? There's a lot of free courses out there and a lot of things about how to use it. Understand how to use it, do sales, all these type of income, expenses, profit, all of that, and have a play with that. Because if you can learn Excel well, you don't even need a lot of these software systems that you need to pay money for, because everything can be done most of the time, right, in Excel there, or it is used after the fact. So that's a few tools and understanding about data, about what you can do, and then be able to make better decisions from it.
Okay, thank you, Atin, for that. There's another question that also bothers the mind of people, especially me. How can I measure my financial intelligence, and how can I identify my strengths and weaknesses in financial decision making?
That's an interesting one. So, yeah, in terms of measuring your strengths and weaknesses, there's a good sort of platform or something that is called SWOT, right? A SWOT analysis that you may have heard of, right? Which is strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So I think this is a great tool, right? It's just a little sort of cube, 4 squares. So think about yourself, like, what are my strengths about financial intelligence? What are my weaknesses? But then a lot of people don't think about the other two. So what are my opportunities with financial intelligence, with that I have? What are my threats against it, right? So start to think about these areas here. And I think understanding how you can measure yourself, it's a bit challenging to obviously measure. Some people might say it's what's in your bank account. It could be potentially one, but that's not always the case, because you could have good financial intelligence, but some things can be challenging for you at periods of time in your life. So that's not always the way. But I think a lot of the time it's about who you hang around. And this is generally, a lot of people say this is the 5 people you spend the most time with is who you become. So are you hanging around broke people with no financial intelligence, as an example, right, that have no money all the time? Or are you hanging around people that are generally doing well with money, or okay at least? Or are you hanging around people that are doing very well with money? And it might be a potentially a combination, but understanding if you're around people a lot that are bringing you down in terms of their thinking around finances, that's going to affect you. So that would be my understanding about how well you're doing, is who are you hanging around. You don't want to be the smartest person in the room. You're in the wrong room. Be, the dumbest person, the one that knows the least amount, basically, right, in terms of finances, and then ask questions, like you're asking questions to me now. Keep asking questions. Keep being curious. Going, how does that work? What do you do with this? I've got this challenge, right? And then you will get better, and you will get better over time. And see how you can add value to that person, even from a mindset perspective. If you're a very positive person and people like to be around you anyway, you don't have to be very successful, right? Around really successful people, you just have to make them feel good and be positive, and they'll be happy with that. And then be around people like that. Like I'm on calls with people that are worth hundreds of millions of dollars, and I'm listening to the way that they think about finances and they do things, right? So these can be coaches and mentors. These can be people in your circles. This can be just YouTube videos, right, of very successful people that you listen to about that. So find people that you can learn more from, and just be there, and then realize, okay, there's more I need to learn. And the more you do it, the better and the more financial intelligence you get.
At a point in time, I realized that sometimes questions are better than the answers. So there are questions, especially questions of this nature that I'm asking, questions of why questions, how questions, and what questions. So these are very, very significant questions that one need to ask always in order to enhance success in his life or her life. So I want to throw another question is, how can I use financial intelligence to create value, solve problems, and seize opportunities in different scenarios? If yes, how?
Of course, financial intelligence, it's all, any intelligence that we have allows us to make better decisions, right? So if we talk about it from my financial intelligence, the more financial intelligence you have, the better decisions around finances you'll make. So I'll talk about it from both a business and a personal sense. From a business sense, if you've got different types of products or services that you offer, do you understand what your profit margin is? If you sell three different services, is one of them making a lot more profitable than the other? Then you go, well, if I want to have better financial intelligence to make more profit, I should sell more of that and do less of the other services and focus on those ones more, right? Pretty simple here. If you understand financial intelligence, understand numbers. From a personal sense, once you understand where your money is coming in and coming out, then going, okay, can I reduce expenses? That's one element of things. So I have more to keep and then invest or do other things with it. Or can I make more money? Now, if you're working a job, can I get a pay rise or something like that? Or can I get commission? Like maybe if I bring clients to the company that I'm bringing, they'll give me a commission for bringing, clients there. Can I do something on the side that will allow me to bring in money? That I do some, contracting or something online that I can do there to provide some, some knowledge or help in my skills, right? That I have there. So financial intelligence allows you to make these better decisions. And then you can go, okay, well, how can I maximize my income, right? And minimize my expenses so there's more profit, more left over to then use it into, investing and growing it as well.
Okay, we are moving. I think my viewers are communicating and they're engaging. They might not be fully engaging here, but I think they are seeing that in and watching in other platforms where I share this live. So we are moving forward. Sir, thank you for giving us light and throwing more light on these questions that I have asked. But there are so many questions and it's still remaining. Actually, due to the technical issues that we encountered earlier, this live supposed to be 1 hour, but now please give me more 10 or 15 minutes. We are crossing 1 hour. And let me throw more questions so that you can throw more light on it. So another thing is, how can I develop my emotional intelligence and resilience to cope with financial stress and uncertainties?
Yeah, great question. I love emotional intelligence, right? Because if we were just reacting to things emotionally when challenges happen, it clouds our judgment, right? So understanding emotions first is that you have positive emotions, you have negative emotions, and you have neutral emotions, basically, right? You could be in any of these emotional states. And if you're if you're on either side, very negative or very positive, it can cloud your judgment. It's very negative. You can be angry or something like that. You're going to do things or say things and make decisions on things that aren't going to be helpful, right? Or if you're really excited and happy and stuff like that, you could actually make bad decisions because you could just agree to things, but you're not actually thinking, is this the best financial decision, right, at that time? So it works both ways, that can cloud your judgment. So what you want to do is, you may feel emotions come up when people are saying things in certain financial situations, in life, business, or whatever like that. You need to allow yourself to feel them, but not show them. Do not express them at the time. Stay calm on the outside, and then you can allow yourself to not allow that to cloud your judgment, have a lot of clarity in what you're saying, and then go, okay, do I have all the information, or do I need to ask more questions, right, about financial intelligence there, so that I can get a better understanding about those areas, and then I can make a better decision, because numbers don't lie. But if you have too much emotion, I'll give you an example. Someone wants to go buy a property at an auction, right? And they're auctioning it off. If someone's really in love with a property, they've got this emotion, I have to buy this. They go keep going over their budget. And then they're like, wow, I just spent $100,000 or, all this extra money on this property because they were too emotional in that they really wanted it. When if you had a neutral emotion going, far out, do I really want to bid this much, or are there better opportunities somewhere else that I can find something for my budget, my price, for better value, right? Instead of being in love with the property, right, that you're buying. So that's a common thing at these auctions, where they play on people's emotions, that they want to make them to go further than what they normally used to, than what their brain says. So be aware of your emotions, and don't react people may test you. People may say things that make you want to like, oh, what about this or what about that, and test your ego. It's just like, okay. What I like to say to people is, if people say certain things and I don't necessarily believe the same thing, I say, oh, that's nice that you know believe that. This is what I believe, and I will change right and what they're saying with my view on things on there, so that you don't have to butt heads with them. You acknowledge their opinion and the way that they say things. Don't emotionally react positive or negatively. But if you have a different point of view, then you can say your view, and then you can ask more questions about what you need to do, and then you can make better decisions in those finances at that particular time.
Yes. Thank you. Franklin can come. You have been here watching us live. Please feel free to ask your questions if there are any, or if there is any that you want to ask us. Okay. So now, sir, it is important, and I have realized that in everything we do in life, communication is very, very important. You know, for us to grow in our interpersonal relationships, businesses, or anything, communication is very, very important. Now, my question is, how can I communicate my financial goals and achievements to others using financial storytelling and visualization? Is it possible?
Yeah, it's a great question, right? And this is where, depending where you live, money can be a bit of a taboo subject, right, around people. So, you know, if you tell people, oh, I want to do all this with my finance, I want to do that, what's going to happen probably is their limiting beliefs around things are going to come up. And, you know, they may want to share, whether this with your parents, your siblings, your friends, other family members, it could potentially come up. So be, you know, aware of who you're sharing these things with. Not everybody's going to think the same way. Not everybody wants to increase their financial intelligence and grow more wealth and freedom, right? Not everybody wants that. And, you know, just as a side note, is that everything is just a projection. So basically, if I say, hey, I'm going to go grow $1 million business, or I'm going to go and buy this house, right? If someone says, you can't do that, what do you mean? You've never done that before. It's not actually them saying you can't do it. It's actually they can't do it. They're seeing a reflection of themselves going, you can't do that, but it's actually themselves that they're seeing because they've never done it. But don't always care about people's opinions, because a lot of people judge you. You're going to get judged, right? Especially when you say you're going to do something, be okay with that, right? You know, I just don't care about being judged anymore, and I don't judge others at the same time. That's really important. But find people that are on the same path, right? Who are growth-minded people that you're around. You know, your life coach, you know, someone that's a growth minded, wants to improve their mindset, improve their life, right? In whatever way. Find other people like that, and then find people that want to talk about this. Maybe it's an accountability person. Maybe someone's on a similar journey than you, a friend or someone. Say, hey, let's increase our financial intelligence together. Let's talk about our numbers, you know, right now. And then, you know, if you're talking about them regularly and you're putting focus into it, you're normally going to then improve it, right? So that's how numbers work a lot of the time. Is the more you focus on them, the more they likely increase, or you can make better decisions on them. So don't just like do your spreadsheet or your numbers once and then just never look at it again. It doesn't work like that. You should be looking at it daily, weekly, monthly type of thing, right? In terms of where you're at, so you can make better decisions on that. So share it with people that are like-minded, that are going to be on the journey, and it might not necessarily be the exact numbers if you're a little bit shy of your numbers, especially if they're low, and they might be higher, but it might just be about the process, about talking about numbers, about what are you doing to grow your financial intelligence or grow your wealth or grow your freedom, and just those conversations just might be enough, and you guys talk about that to increase it over time. So I'll say share it with those people, because they're the ones that matter, and then yeah, you can grow there.
You know, this why I ask this question? Oftentimes, sometimes there are uh, some kind of people or some kind of individuals. Whenever you mention anything financial intelligence, or you try to portray your wealth, or tell them how to make wealth, or tell them you have made such and so amount from this business or that business, they feel, some people will feel embarrassed. Some people will feel they are being talked down to. Some people will feel or see you as somebody who is bragging of what you have achieved financially. So that is why I ask this, um, um, financial intelligence. Let me simply put financial intelligence and communication. Okay, so that is why the answer you gave me now is very, very important. I wish my audience can grab this point that you made actually, because sometimes there are some uh, would I say, kind of ethics that people are beginning to embrace. Um, they don't they don't discuss their financial success with people, okay? But this is actually normal. But you find out that despite it doesn't matter how you hide your financial strengths and abilities, it must show up. So when it shows up, it reflects on people's attitudes, either positively or negatively. Okay, so in order to pass a very positive message to people regarding finance, uh, communication has to be very, very important. So that is why I put this question: how can I communicate my financial achievements and goals to people in order to influence, or so that they can, the way they visualize or tell the story of it. So thank you so much for this. How can I monitor my financial progress and outcome and adjust my strategies or behavior accordingly?
Yeah. And, we touched on it a bit earlier, but basically the spreadsheet in the simple sense, right? Create the spreadsheet, and even if it's just monthly columns or weekly, whatever sort of you get your income and stuff in, and you can work it out no matter if it's weekly, monthly, and just do formulas anyway, but just have it right in a spreadsheet. I think monthly is a good way to do it. It's enough without being too much and going, okay, what is my income? Is it staying the same? Does it fluctuate, right, each month? And my expenses, and go, okay, what decisions can I make? And then you make a change. You make decisions, make this change. Then you measure it, because you have goals, you have intentions, you have a budget about what you want to do and you want to change. But then what's the actual that actually happened? Because you might go, hey, I want to make more money by doing something on the side or do something else. Did you actually do that, right, that month, and make more money? Or I want to not go to dinner half the time, so I save money out and eat at home instead. Did it actually happen? Did your dinners as an expense reduced by half exactly, or was it a different percentage that it reduced? So understanding your intention behind that, but then measuring the actual and seeing the differences between those. So that's the key thing, is measuring that each month, understanding it, and then you should be able to improve. But the key thing is having the goal as well, right? So what's the end goal? Could be a 1 year goal, could be like a 5 year bigger goal. What's the goal? Because you want to be moving towards something. Maybe you're making, I don't know, $100,000 a year, right? I'm just going to use round numbers to make it easy, right? And you go, okay, next year I want to make 110,000 or 150,000, like whatever the number is that's realistic, right? For you to increase depending on where you're at. And go, okay, well, how do I then make this happen? Right? How am I going to get that extra amount of income? Or maybe it's about the profit. Maybe you still earn 100K if it, for the year, but then I can reduce the expenses by $10,000, so I still have $10,000 extra to play around with, right? In terms of the profit. So there's different ways that you can cut it, increase the revenue, decrease the expenses, make decisions, track it over time, and then you will start to see the profit and the money you keep building. And then you'll get to a point where you can then make decisions on going, what do I want to do with this? How do I make this increase more than just having it in the bank?
Okay. Lastly, but not the least, because I think I will also invite you live again for further discussions. But let me throw this last question so that you can get it on. Because I check your profile. You have spoken and had communications and interaction and dealings with so many investors, entrepreneurs, and leaders. Okay, of course, you are one of them. Okay, so now I want to throw this question: how can I learn from other successful investors, entrepreneurs, and leaders who have high financial intelligence? So, how can I learn from them? Is it by going closer to them, or by copying, imitating what they do, or imitating their character or their way of life? How can I learn from them in order to make a positive impact in my life?
Yeah, this is a great question. So there's a difference, firstly, between copying and modeling, right? Some people might say copying, but modeling is really the best word, right? And modeling is about the mindset, the beliefs, and the behaviors and the habits, right? These are the key things, because that's what makes them successful, right? Yes, there's knowledge there, but it's the beliefs, the behaviors, and the habits, right, that people have. So when you're around these people, and even if it's just you're listening to, reading a book, listening to an audio book, or a video of some sort, right? Then you can still do this. You can understand the way that they think and go, okay, I want to think like that, right? So
Yes.
that's what I'll be thinking about. So from a simple sense, that's very cheap and easy, is find resources, find books, find YouTube videos of these successful people that you want to model, right? Like, you know, I want to be like Elon Musk, the way he thinks. You know, look at all the Elon Musk stuff, whoever it is, right? So Richard Branson, doesn't matter who the people are. I've interviewed a lot of big people on my podcast, right? There's a lot of big people that have good financial intelligence there. So listen to podcasts, a lot of great podcasts, whether it's mine, the Business Growth Show, or other podcasts, like find podcasts where they're on there, because a lot of great questions that happen and you get to understand about their financial mind and intelligence, right, in there, and you can model their beliefs and the way that they think about things. So that would be those ways. And then realistically, you want to be rubbing shoulders with these people. So, you know, simply go to networking events. That's a very simple way, right? That you can do it very cheap. Some of these are free even that you can go to, or you might pay a very small amount wherever you are in the world and rub shoulders with people. Go to business events, go to just normal events, go to a variety, right, in what you do. And you will sort of be able to tell who's got better financial intelligence, right, than other people in terms of how they speak, and go, okay, this person's interesting. They sound like they've got some good wisdom about them. I want to learn more and talk about more. Then offer them to go for a coffee, right, or a tea or whatever it is there, and, you know, give them some value. And then how can you give them some value? Because whenever you're around successful people, it's all about giving value. Successful people are not just going to give you value for free, right? Now, I'm giving a huge amounts of value today, and I like to give back where I can. But most, especially higher successful people, they're not just going to, like, if you try and invite them for a coffee or a meeting on Zoom, a lot of them will probably say no, right? So what's some level of, and don't be discouraged with that, right? It's just the way that it is. You know, be okay with, you know, failure, and just keep trying, have persistence with these people. But understanding that, you know, reach out to these people and what can you provide as value? You should always look to provide value first, right? Whether that's like I get people on my podcast, or whether it's, you know, you've got people on the live. This is some sort of value, right, to your audience, right, on these lives. Or is it like just giving them a great mindset, great way of thinking, and like that, so they feel energized around you? Is it specific business advice or other areas of knowledge that you have that you can, you know, give them? Or is it connections to your network that you can give them? There's a lot of ways that you can add value, right, in certain areas. So add value in what you do, and then from there, you can start to get into them, and then they can connect you to other people, right? But get yourself out there, meet as many people as you can, and then that will help you to get you on your way to much better financial intelligence.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I really appreciate your conversation with me. It's quite compelling and life-changing. Okay. Financial intelligence is so every intelligence. When we talk about intelligence, I refer it as something that every human being that dreams success must try to embrace. Okay, financial intelligence is very, very important. It helps us to grow, and it helps us also to achieve our individual goals. Viewers, I encourage you to share this live, and I hope you have benefited from this discussion this evening or this afternoon, this morning, depending on where you are joining. Please, if you have any question, you can throw the question direct to me. I think I enabled questions. You can message me directly if we have no much time. It's already almost 6:30. And here with me also Australian, right? Am I right? So
Yes.
now, see, I have invited so many guests in my life. Last time I was here live with LaFleur Leadership Academy. You maybe from the United States. Maybe you must have come in contact with him or in his Facebook page. So it was also a very great discussion. Thank you once again. I will like to hear from you. Apart from financial intelligence, please talk to my viewers in few words so that we can call it a day of this life.
Yeah, thanks, Stephen. Much appreciated for having me on here, and hope I provide a lot of value to everyone here. So, firstly, everyone, make the decision and the commitment to improve your financial intelligence, learn from these areas, and actively take an active role in growing it over time. That would be my biggest thing. And if you want to learn more about what I do, you know, you can find me on Facebook and all the other platforms, you know, Ethan Cassiotis. I'm the only person with my name, which makes it easy to find me. Or you can go to my website, ethancassiotis.com, and that's got everything about what I do. I mentioned my podcast the Business Growth Show. You can learn a lot. There's a lot of great high-level people with great financial intelligence. They're on YouTube. They're on all the podcast platforms, Spotify, all that, to listen to those as well. And if you're doing a business, and, you're making some money, but you want to take it to the next level, also have my businessgrowthsummit.com.au, where, I provide a lot of value for business heads there. So that can help you with your financial intelligence and other areas there as well. So feel free to reach out. Anyway, otherwise, thanks for having me, Stephen. It's been a pleasure being on here.
Thank you. Our foundation, one of our goals is to serve humanity and God with our 3Ts: talent, time, and treasure. And today, you, Aden, have also contributed in serving God and humanity with your time, treasure, and talent. Thank you once again for participating, and I extend my greetings to your family and to your beautiful wife and to those there in Australia. Thank you and welcome.
Thank you so much. Same to you as well, Stephen. Much appreciated.
Bless you. Have a blessed day.
Thank you. Bye-bye.